Well, folks, everybody give Tesla, Elon Musk, the whole team over at Tesla and all Tesla customers a little thank you for saving the entire stock market here in the short term, essentially. Tesla is one of the very few stocks that's been holding up well the past 6 months. And this is a stock that was at a very, very dangerous place. And the numbers they just put up are absolutely incredible. And I want to go over some very specific things that aren't really being talked about in this earnings release that I think are very, very important. And even bigger thing I want to talk about in this video is what this means, not just for Tesla, but what this means for the stock market overall, because we're definitely at a moment in time that's a very, very important time. And Tesla is one of 3 stocks that I think are the most important and the biggest risk to the entire market right now. And so, yeah, we'll go over all that. By the way, check out FTX US. Thank you for being my crypto partner. As always, check out first link in the description down there. Get up to $100 in free crypto. Use my referral code, Holy Smokus. Okay, so first off here, check out this, guys. 87% automotive revenues up year over year. Total revenues up 81% year over year. There's some of the most insane growth you're going to find in not just a big company, but any company for that matter. And there's no one that's even growing close to this, right? Netflix just lost subscribers. Apple's growing, maybe a few percent a quarter or something like that. Like, we'll see what their numbers are. Microsoft's a few percent. Google's probably 10 to 20%. Meta's probably 10 to 20%. PayPal's probably 10 to 20%. Amazon's probably 10 to 20%. There's no one that's growing even remotely close to this that's a big tech company. Nvidia, I think there's a possibility that Nvidia revenues could go negative in the back half of the year, and AMD and some of those guys. There's no one that's even remotely putting up these type of numbers that Tesla's putting up. They're absolutely incredible, right? 81%. Now, something very important to remember, though, is these orders for these Teslas that are being fulfilled. Most of these orders were placed 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago. So it is something to consider with a stock like Tesla is a lot of these orders have been placed in the past and are now getting filled. Now, why this is very, very important for everybody to understand that's watching this right now is there's been obviously a very recent worry about the economy, right? The Fed's just started raising interest rates very recently. Inflation's still going insane. And so the big question mark for Tesla is not, is 2022 going to be a great year? Because everybody knows it's a great year because of all the past orders that have come in over the past 6 to 12 months that Tesla has to backfill, essentially. But the next question is, where are the growth rates for Tesla in 2023? Because this is a company that's growing 81% now, but what if next year they grow at 20%, right? Or 30%? That's obviously a massive drop off in the growth rate, which starts changing valuation models and those sorts of things. And so Tesla's kind of been in a great cycle recently, right? But the question is, does this end up affecting them as far as interest rates going up? Obviously, when folks buy cars, most folks buy it, especially a new car, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 car, you're buying it usually through a loan. That's the smart thing to do, especially if you have good credit, right? Now, I thought something worth a few other things that were worth looking at here. So 3 and Y, which is obviously what drives Tesla's business, those were up 61% year over year. S and X up 625% year over year. Absolutely extraordinary numbers as far as that goes. Something a lot of folks aren't talking about here is the crazy ramp up in every single market, essentially, right? It's not like Tesla just has, in terms of how much market share they're getting. It's not like they're just grabbing market share in the United States, for instance, or just in China or something. They're grabbing market share around the world. They're grabbing market share in China, Europe, US, Canada. It doesn't matter where it's at. Tesla's grabbing market share, and they're going to continue to grab market share year after year after year. This, to me, was the most important thing. The entire presentation, what you're looking at right here, essentially, and not a lot of people are talking about this. So what you're looking at here, this is Tesla gross orders in the United States, right? And so this is as they were coming in. Now, it's interesting, Tesla cuts it off here, and you got to wonder, obviously after that, the Russia-Ukraine situation became very, very crazy. You obviously have had interest rates going up since then, a lot more worries about the economy. So that's kind of, I don't want to call it sketch that they just cut it off there, but because everybody started to worry at basically mid-February and after about how the economy is doing and how orders are coming in. But this was very, very important because the day after the Super Bowl, orders for Tesla went absolutely through the roof, right? Now, the reason this is so big is during the Super Bowl, a lot of car companies auto manufacturers, they did all these commercials, right? For their EVs that are coming out, right? And the amount of electric vehicle commercials you guys saw, I'm sure if you watched the Super Bowl, was insane. It was a lot, right? Now, this is crazy epic for Tesla, and here's why this is crazy epic for Tesla. People saw those commercials for those companies advertising EVs, and they thought, EV, let me go buy a Tesla. So Tesla spent no money on the Super Bowl, right, for ads, and yet everybody that was advertising all those EVs ended up pretty much wasting their money in just giving Tesla a bunch more new orders, right? And so think about that for a moment. Here Tesla is, and this is a point I try to always bring out to folks, and it's nice to see it in real world. This is something I've been talking about for 4 years now. I said, the market obviously over the long term is going all to EVs, and Tesla is the number one brand name by a mile in the EV space. And so if you're considering getting a Tesla, the first thing you're going to consider is, I'm going to get a Tesla. So everybody gets all those commercials in front of their eyes, EV, 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 and I think, let me go buy a Tesla, right? And so that's just so powerful, and that's why, Tesla's just in such a great spot for the next, decade, essentially, because every single time somebody's going to think about buying an electric vehicle, the first thought's going to be Tesla. And if you want to have somebody buy your Ford, your GM, your Volkswagen, your Nissan, your Toyota, whatever, right? You're going to need to convince them that your product is superior for that person than a Tesla. And that's a tough kind of thing to do. Obviously, Tesla's insurance business is starting to take off. The services and other gross margins are starting to take off. Tesla killed it when it came to EPS. They killed it when it came to revenue. They killed it when it came to margins. The earnings was an A+. There's no doubt about that. They came in with, here's the thing with Tesla. If they had just beat earnings, this stock would be down big after hours. But the fact that they destroyed earnings, that's why this stock is up after hours, not because they just beat earnings, right? They had to absolutely decimate them, and they absolutely decimated them. So obviously they post some photos here of Model Y. The Gigafactory Berlin's getting up and rolling, which is very, very exciting. Obviously Gigafactory Texas getting up and rolling. Those are huge for Tesla's production and manufacturing, not just for the next year, but obviously for the next many years. And you look at just about every single metric for Tesla, it is all heading in the right direction in a massive way. And the cash flows this company's starting to produce are just immense. They're in the billions of dollars now, quarter in, quarter out. And so the business is now very, very profitable. Look at the gross profit number, $5.4 billion in its latest quarter. Income from operations, $3.6 billion. Net income, $3.2 billion. They're getting so much more profitable than anybody even expected. Even a Tesla bull like myself, they're getting more profitable. If you look at cash and cash equivalents, $17.5 billion now in cash and cash equivalents. Remember the days when Tesla was known as a bad balance sheet company? I don't know how many people have been on this Tesla train for many, many years, but there was a time period when Tesla was thought to go bankrupt and they had a bad balance sheet and those sorts of things. And it's just crazy to see now Tesla coming in with $17.5 billion or whatever that was in just cash sitting around, right? It's just unbelievable the way they've changed this business model, and that's just going to continue to build for this entire year essentially. And that's meanwhile they're building these massive gigafactories, right? Isn't that something extraordinary, right? Now I want to talk about the market a little bit here. I want to talk about Tesla stock here. Okay, so first off, after hours, the stock's around 1038 or so, roughly, right? Now that's basically a little above where the stock was entering today. All right, so yes, this is a nice move up after hours, but let's not forget, this stock was basically around this 24 hours ago, okay? And so this is, in terms of Tesla, it fell big going into these earnings today. It was down like 5%. So it's not like it's, wow, Tesla's going up so high. It's like, dude, this stock's barely higher than it was literally 24 hours ago. So it's something very, very important that I think everybody understands, because they're going to see this move tomorrow or after hours or whatever, and they'll be like, wow, Tesla's up so much. And it's like, dude, this stock's like barely above where it was literally 24 hours ago, okay? And now the reason I think the stock maybe isn't up bigger because, like I said, they reported an A+ earnings. One is obviously Tesla has a lot of future growth baked into it. We think we all know that around price to sales ratios, trailing PEs, forward PEs, everything, But I think one of the other reasons is a lot of folks are looking at this, investors, traders, whatever, and they're looking at it and they're saying, well, yeah, Tesla, these numbers are tremendous. They're putting up, right? And they're probably going to put up, more great numbers next quarter and maybe even in 3Q. But people are saying, well, things are great now, but if the economy is really slowing and if the Fed keeps raising interest rates, it's going to become a lot more expensive to order a Tesla. And so, and just any car in general, right, and to buy a new car. And obviously, if we have a situation where consumers really start dialing back on purchases, cars will be one of the things that get hit. And obviously, Tesla will be one of the things that get hit. Now, the good thing for Tesla is they will likely still outperform the other auto manufacturers, right? So they will do better even in a falling market than, let's say, Ford does or GM does or Volkswagen or those sorts of companies. But doing better in a downtrending market still isn't necessarily the best thing. Remember in 08, 09, most auto manufacturers either went bankrupt or flirted with bankruptcy, right? Now, if we were to get back into that sort of scenario, the same exact thing is going to happen again, essentially, right? Now, that doesn't mean Tesla's going bankrupt or anything even close to that, because they could still even potentially, I don't want to say grow in that sort of market, but they could still put up some very, very respectable numbers even in because remember, even in 08, 09, 2010, bad economic years for the U.S. economy, for the worldwide economy, do keep in mind there's still millions and millions of cars being sold on a yearly basis, year in and year out, even in those down years, right? And so Tesla could still keep taking market share and could still do well relatively in that sort of market. But an 80% type number, that becomes, very unrealistic. Now, another issue kind of with Tesla and why this stock's probably not up a lot bigger after hours is definitely some folks on Wall Street saw kind of what happened with Netflix, right? Where it was a company that the numbers really got pushed up and they kind of had a big pull forward in demand, right? And so I definitely think the comps became a huge issue for Netflix, and a lot of these stocks have fallen, Meta, PayPal, a lot of other great big tech companies, right? Where they kind of had a pull forward in demand and then comps got incredibly tough. The tough thing for Tesla now is, think about the first quarter of next year. They're going to have to comp against an 81% growth period for Tesla. Now you say, well, Cybertruck's coming out and those sorts of things, and hopefully Y and 3 orders are still strong. But dang, that's a tough comp. And so Tesla, yeah, their numbers are so great now, but they're going to have to comp against these numbers. And so you kind of become like your own worst enemy when it comes to your stock price, because you have to start comping these numbers year over year, and it becomes like an incredible challenge just to keep up at the type of rates you're or anything even remotely close, right? And so what if Tesla at this time next year reports 20% growth, 30% growth? Like, that still would be tremendous. That still, in my opinion, would be great growth. But it's not 81%, right? And so that's kind of the tough moment, and I think that's why the stock's not up a lot bigger after hours. Now, there's obviously other big techs that have to report over the next several days, right? NVIDIA over the next several weeks. NVIDIA is going to be one of those. I think it's one of the most important stocks to watch over the next several weeks. NVIDIA has been holding up pretty darn well for the past 6 months, and this is a stock that, with prices starting to fall, I do worry a lot about NVIDIA. Apple, their stores continue to be busy, but it's another company that they have incredibly tough comps to comp against year over year, this quarter, next quarter. So I think Apple is going to be in a really, really tough spot. And the only way Apple and NVIDIA are going to go up after their earnings and not down and send the whole market down is essentially if they do what Tesla just did and put up an absolutely A+ quarter. And I do have some concerns on if those companies come through with those A+ quarters. Tesla just did it, right? Apple did it last quarter. NVIDIA did it last quarter. But let me explain this. Sorry, I almost started dying there for a second. The issue for NVIDIA and Apple is they need to not just report an A+ past quarter, right? Their Q1 2022. But they also need to guide for great numbers. They need to have positive commentary about the next quarter. And if you get some worrisome commentary, next thing you know, that will send the stock down, even if even if they had great earnings. And so that's why I say the three biggest kind of risks to the market going into this was Tesla. They just came in with an A+ quarter, so they got through it. Now we got Apple, now we got Nvidia next up. And if they can make it through, good. We're kind of smooth sailing after that. But if those ones were to falter and have some weak guidance, some kind of scary commentary, some numbers that just don't quite hit, that's when you run into some trouble. But for now, Tesla has saved the stock market. So thank you to Tesla customers, Tesla team, Elon Musk, everybody over there, saved the entire market. Hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, make sure you check out first link in the description down there. Sign up for FTX US. And basically, when you use my referral code, Holy Smokers, get yourself some free crypto. Much love. Have a great day.